Hi, friends. Before we dive into this week's episode, I want to share with you about my signature course, She Sells Wholesale. I know so many of you guys ask questions about how do you get started with wholesaling because it can be complicated. I know because I have been there. And when I first started wholesaling my candles with my candle company, Heart Design Co., I failed miserably for several months, but I hit month 3 and I had my candles in over 120 retailers. So I am sharing with you my exact framework inside my signature course, She Sells Wholesale, and you can jump on the wait list at shesellswholesale.com. I only open up the course twice a year. So you want to make sure that you get on the wait list so you know when the course opens up, and it's opening soon. I will actually send you a free gift when you sign up on the wait list. So check it out at shesellswholesale.com. That's shesellswholesale.com. What's the one thing I wish I had known before I walked away from my corporate salary and that stability? I'm sharing it at the very end of today's episode. And trust me, it's not what you probably think that it is. 2 years ago, this very week, I walked away from my dream job. And instead of stability, I chose possibility. And now I help product-based women business owners sell with confidence, not apology. And I'm not just teaching this. I am living it alongside you. If you are new here, my name is Andee Hart. I am your coach, your cheerleader, and your sales strategist for product-based business owners who want to grow their sales without feeling gross and learn how to sell with confidence and authenticity. Hi, friends. Welcome to She Sells Differently, the show for aspiring women entrepreneurs looking to overcome the fear of selling and grow thriving businesses from a place of authenticity and confidence. I'm Andee Hart, and it wasn't all that long ago that I was a sales executive for a Fortune 500 company. But I knew in my heart that I was called to use my gifts for something more, something different. That's exactly why I created the She Sells Differently podcast. Each episode is going to deliver you business strategies, tools, and mindset shifts to help set you and your brand apart from our culture's expectations. It's time to elevate your sales and build a profitable, sustainable business you're proud of, one built on integrity, grace, and humility. It's time to learn how to sell differently. Welcome back to the She Sells Differently podcast. 2 years ago, I turned in my corporate badge, shut down all of the what if I fail thoughts. I say I shut down those thoughts, but let's be real. The fear still creeps in. I'll talk about that here in a minute. But I took the leap into full-time entrepreneurship. And since then, there have absolutely been moments that I felt completely unstoppable. And then yes, the moments I have questioned everything. It's a roller coaster. This journey is not a straight line. It is not always glamorous, as any entrepreneur will tell you, and it's definitely not always easy. But let me tell you something. It is 100% worth it. And whether you have already left your 9 to 5, I always laugh at the term 9 to 5 because I was never in a 9 to 5. If you have been in a sales job, you know that it is not a 9 to 5. But if you have already left your corporate job or you are still dreaming of the day that you finally do, this episode is for you. I am sharing 7 brutal but beautiful lessons I have learned since leaving corporate America behind. And these are truths that no one tells you about being your own boss. And I'm sharing them because I want you to know that if you have ever struggled or felt alone on this path we call entrepreneurship or being a small business owner, you are so not alone, my friend. So let's talk about the transformation, the trade-offs, and the truth. Here's my first lesson, my first reality about being an entrepreneur. Monday mornings, they become magic, but only if you make them. I remember before I left corporate America, my Monday mornings, they felt like a countdown to Friday. Are you nodding your head, like going, yes, I see you, I hear you, Andee. That is how my Monday mornings feel. It was like this giant weight pressing down on me the moment I opened my eyes. Now, that may be a little bit dramatic, but now Monday mornings feel like a possibility. Like I cannot wait to get out of bed and start working on my business. But that happens if you intentionally design your Mondays that way. There's no one else setting the tone for your week as an entrepreneur. You set the rhythm for your business. And it's also a mindset shift. You don't have to earn your rest anymore, but you do have to earn your momentum. And the reality is that rest can be productive. And that is a mindset shift too, especially when our culture is all about the hustle mode and that the more you work, the better, especially in corporate America. My goodness. But you do not have to earn your rest anymore. And realizing that rest is productive and some of my most creative ideas come from times of rest is such a healthy mindset shift. So I really am intentional about designing my weeks and realizing that Mondays are now a possibility. And viewing them that way is such a difference maker for my weekly rhythm. Here is reality number 2. Your boss is gone. Discipline is your new one. And she is ruthless. You don't report to anyone anymore. That is great, right? Until you realize that also means no one is holding you accountable but you. And that discipline replaces those deadlines. And the reality is, discipline doesn't care how tired you are. She's not forgiving, and she doesn't hand out paid time off. That is why you have to create structure and non-negotiable work blocks, clear priorities and boundaries, and time for rest. As I mentioned earlier, you don't need a manager, but you do need clear systems that keep you from spiraling into chaos and burnout, because it is very real and I am preaching to myself right now. And along those same lines, moving into lesson number 3, this is a huge one that I think was a little bit surprising to me. Guilt creeps in when you're not quote unquote productive, even on your day off, even on rest days, even on weekends. Guilt creeps in when you are not quote unquote productive. And I use that quotes because rest is productive, as I mentioned earlier, but it is hard not to feel guilty when you're working on the weekend. So let's talk about that guilt. When your income is tied directly to your actions, resting can feel like you're falling behind. Like every minute you're not working is a missed opportunity. And I used to sit on the couch on a Sunday resting and still feel like I was supposed to be doing something. But here is what I am learning, and I use the word in the present tense. I am learning. Rest is now a part of my job description. When you're an entrepreneur, you are a CEO and you are a visionary, and visionaries need white space. As I mentioned earlier, some of my most creative ideas come when I am resting, when I am taking time to get out in nature and walk and just be still. A clear, rested mind makes clear decisions. And that is so important to remember. A clear, rested mind makes clear decisions. Here's reality number 4. The line between work and life it disappears when you become an entrepreneur and you have to redraw it. When your home is also your office and your brand is basically you, it gets blurry. That line gets hard to distinguish. It's like being on call for your dreams 24/7. And I literally had to retrain my brain, and I'm still in the process of doing this, that I am not my business. I am more than my business. One thing that I have found helpful is to set rituals for your workday. So startup rituals like lighting a candle when you sit down at your desk, or even closing your laptop at the end of your workday to start and to finish your workday. It's very helpful to retrain your brain to start and to end your workday. If you don't create those bookends, it can feel like you're working all the time, even when you're not. And that is just especially true when you work from home. Lesson number 5, every risk has your name on it. And that's the point. There's not a safety net as an entrepreneur. Every decision, every launch, every price increase, your name is on it. And while that can be terrifying, it is also empowering. Because listen to this, every win, it also has your name. And so you're not waiting for permission anymore like you were when you were in corporate America. You're building something that no one can take from you. And that kind of ownership, it literally changes how you show up each day. Reality number 6, fear, it doesn't disappear. And I mentioned this earlier. Fear doesn't disappear, but it does evolve. And I thought that I would be less fearful once I figured it all out. I actually thought that I would have it all figured out sooner than I have, but that's not reality either. Fear hasn't left. It's just leveled up. Now fear is more like a signal. It says this matters and this is stretching you. This is growing you. And something I've learned is that oftentimes what we call fear or uncertainty, it can really be growth in disguise. And so when you learn to recognize that, then you can see it for what it really is. Lesson number 7, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to fix the mistakes. You have to clean up the mess. But here is the difference. You still wouldn't trade it. When things break, and not if, but when things break, you fix them. When a customer doesn't pay, there's nothing to back that up. You chase it. When the tech crashes, you Google how to fix it at 2 a.m. There's no HR, no tech team, no backup. And still, I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't trade it. Because every mistake I've made has taught me more than any training manual or any training course in corporate ever could. And I have grown more in the past 2 years than in over 17 years in corporate. And the freedom that it has given me to go after my own dreams is invaluable. It's not an easy road. I would never want to tell anyone that wants to quit their 9-to-5 and pursue being their own boss that it is an easy road. The reality is it is hard, and there are a lot of lessons and challenges ahead of you. But if you walk into it with a determination to never give up and to be consistent, then you can achieve your goals and your dreams. And it is the most rewarding thing that I have set my mind to. So if you're standing at the edge of your own leap, or maybe you've already jumped and you just need to feel less alone, I am here to support you. There is a link in the show notes where you can send me a message. I would love to hear what business you're starting. I would love to hear if you have any questions. I will be happy to answer them in the next episode. So click that link and feel free to send me a message. You can also reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook as well. The links to that are in the show notes. So here is the bonus that I mentioned at the beginning of this episode. What is the one thing that I wish I had known before I left my corporate job? And here is the one thing. It's probably not what you think it is, but that freedom that you think you're going to have when you leave your 9 to 5, it actually doesn't feel like a vacation. It feels like a responsibility, and it's a whole new responsibility. Once you realize you're strong enough to carry that responsibility and to serve your customers with excellence, there's nothing that you cannot build. And you have a responsibility and a desire and a passion to work with all your heart to build and to succeed and to show up for your customers. So yes, there is that freedom, but it doesn't necessarily feel like what you always thought it would. It feels like a weighty responsibility, but in the best way. So I want to encourage you, if you're thinking about that, like I said, send me a message. I'd love to hear and be your cheerleader. That's it for today. And thanks for tuning in to this 2-year anniversary episode of me leaving my corporate job. I can't believe it's been 2 years. Time flies. So join me next Wednesday for another episode of the She Sells Differently podcast. Until then, I'm cheering you on. All right, that's a wrap on today's episode of She Sells Differently. Friends, it would be a huge blessing to me if you would take 2 seconds to rate and subscribe to my podcast. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Until then, I'm cheering you on in your entrepreneurial journey. See you next time.